Hey guys, my name's Miko and I'm a Webflow developer slash designer and I'm based in Chicago. And today I wanted to talk about some of the work I did for this monthly challenge sent out by New to the Flow. They're a really cool community for people newer to Webflow that provide challenges monthly and we just take a crack at it. So actually, this isn't the challenge I actually did. I did the Haws one, which is design and build a full landing page. But I wanted to take it a step up and design what I could on a Webflow basic plan, or not basic plan, the free plan. So if we get started, basically they just provide you a Figma file, and then you're able to copy and paste it into your own project. So this is what the Figma file they provide would look like. And if we go into here, I have it right here. So going into the start of the project, I established like the purpose of like the brand itself, and for Haws, I thought that this was a pretty important point, and the thing that I took away from this whole brief was to promote a healthy work-life balance by encouraging individuals to take time off for self-care and relaxation. Through our comfortable and stylish clothing, we aim to create a supportive community that advocates for mental wellness. So I was like, what a new twist on a clothing company. And so from there, after that, we established some goals so that we can emulate like a client situation. And I was just pretending the whole time that this is for clients. So the goals that this fictional client would have is to raise awareness and incorporating like this community advocating for mental health and mental wellness along with their community based up around the clothes that they sell. So after that, we go into our design system, which we styled based off the Figma file that we got. I actually made some changes into that, and you'll see later in the Webflow section. And then we make a sitemap of the basic site architecture of like what kind of pages that we want and what is in each page and how would we get to those kinds of pages. So basically doing the very bare bones of the site's like backbone. So we'll go into these mood boards. These mood boards are basically, there's two of them, and my first mood board, I usually go into a lot of like websites. So for this case, it'd be a lot of clothing websites, and you might recognize some of them. And if you do, cool. So I take a lot of screenshots of all these different websites, and I like to like take bits and pieces and then put my own little twist on it. And from there, we go into the second artboard, which is the mental wellness artboard. I think it's really good to take inspiration from not just other websites, but also like posters or other types of design, because it could also, one, put you in the right headspace of like what kind of website you are designing, and two, maybe see a different perspective of how someone else interprets something similar but like in a different art form or such. So now we'll go into the wireframes, and these are the initial designs that I did. And then here's the high fidelity prototype. And now we'll jump into Webflow really quick. So let's go do that. So here we are in Webflow. We'll be in the desktop breakpoint, and basically I changed the CTA colors, like the buttons, to a pink because I didn't want people to get confused with the branding colors, which is green, and make it seem like, oh, maybe they might want to go to the homepage. So we can't make any assumptions, so it's just nice to have a clear distinction of that. And as we can see, our little mascot guy is just chilling on this nature thing, this nature background, and I thought that it was depicting the brand pretty well in terms of he's wearing clothes from there, and now he's just outdoors taking a break, and it leaves this like impression to me that it's like, oh, we're just taking a breather and, you know, not thinking too hard about what currently stresses us out. So if we go from here, we go to the newest releases. From here, like down, I mainly focus on creating a structure that was familiar to their customer base, and you either would expect to see like these here in the hero section, or like some sort of promotion they're running, or the newest collection they released. But for me, I wanted to take an approach where instead we depict like the brand itself, and then going into the clothing items. And from there, we depict the past collections that have been produced by the brand. Pretty standard layout for most clothing websites. And then the blog section, which I took inspiration from like a bento grid, because apparently that's kind of a new hot thing, and I've been liking custom grids in general, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to like showcase more emphasis on some blog posts compared to others, so which is why we have different sizes of articles. And then lastly, the community page. As I said, they wanted to build a community, and I thought it would be really cool if like people, no matter what clothing they're wearing, as long as they're wearing like some Haws item, that it would be showcased here. And then we have the footer. So we'll go on to the next page in a bit, but I'm going to go over some responsiveness changes that I made as I was going down from desktop to tablet to mobile landscape to mobile portrait. So if we go to tablet, now we can notice that there is a hamburger icon, and that's pretty standard. Some websites, though, will have the menu button like from the desktop breakpoint on. So it kind of just is up to preference. And as we can see, if we click it, it opens a little menu, and then we can see our links and our socials. Like, cool. So anyways, I'll just go over the few changes that I made so that it was responsive on the tablet breakpoint. So the hero section is pretty much the same. Going into the newest releases, instead of a 3x3 or 3x2 grid, maybe I'm saying that wrong, but 2 rows, 3 columns. Now we are at a 2x2 grid, and or 2x3, I guess. 2x3 grid. And that is so the items aren't squished, and we're able to still be responsive as we go through the website. And now the collection's pretty much the same. Maybe we just made the heights of these a little smaller so that it would respond better to the changing breakpoints. The blogs, it could be argued that we could just cut out this section entirely and just show the 4 blogs. Either or, I think either approach is fine on tablet, because it's not really that big of a eyesore in my opinion. And then the community grid is pretty much the same, and same with the footer. And then if we go into the mobile landscape, now we see some changes to the hero section. Instead of left aligned, it's now centered, and that is so that when we get to these smaller breakpoints, we're able to respond, or the content's able to respond to it being squished, so it's not like overflowing or anything. Sorry, water break. Now our newest releases section, from tablet to mobile landscape, we now have a 1x6. I keep mixing up if they're columns or not, but you get the point. It's 1 column, 6 rows for showcasing items, and that's just so we're able to not run out of room and we can still see things at a normal size and no distortion or overflow is present. And then now the collections, we see now we don't have a, what do you call it? All the items are in the same column, and that's just so when we do design, or when we do change the breakpoints for the following devices, we're able to see everything. And now the blogs, we're now down to 3. And then the community tab, we're also centered. This should also be, what do you call it? Centered like that. Looks a little better. So yeah, that's pretty much for mobile landscape. Now we go to mobile portrait, and sometimes it gets a little tricky. For future projects, I'm definitely going to design like the desktop breakpoint and the mobile portrait breakpoint, just so it's easier for me to see how things would respond. Because usually I just do this on the fly, and I kind of just do whatever feels right, and if it responds correctly, and it's a more fluid experience kind of thing. So nothing wrong with either. So now pretty much the same thing. We're just a little smaller now. And the last page is our, nope, that's a blank CMS page. Our newest releases page. So this is pretty standard. Like I said, I wanted most of the structure to not cause any kind of confusion. I didn't want any assumptions that are usually made when you click a product. This is usually what you see, and I just wanted to stick with that kind of. Instead, I added a fact wrap, and that's just like a frequently asked questions section about like product specifications, like the washing care or the sizing, or maybe you want to know about the product of like why it was designed the way it was. Because when it comes to those smaller clothing brands, it's always nice to like really see their story envelop and like what they're trying to express through these pieces that they're making. And then we go into my favorite section, which is the fit inspiration, because I really want one clothing brand to do this one day. But yeah, we kind of just go into, imagine that these people were wearing this hoodie, and it would just be this section where they're able to showcase other people outside the models wearing the clothes, and maybe have a better feel of like if this piece is right for them and complements their wardrobe kind of thing. But yeah, let's go on to the breakpoints. So now we have switched this section from a horizontal flexbox into a vertical flexbox, just so that when we go into these smaller breakpoints that we don't run into any problems. So going into mobile landscape, we see pretty much the same thing. Now the, what do you call it? Grids was like 2x2. Now it's 1x4. Forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. It's just out of habit. And lastly, the mobile portrait. Pretty much the same thing. We're just increasing the size of our buttons and such. And that's pretty much it for my project. I did want to talk about some problems that I encountered personally. My first problem that I came with was because I tried to implement this new style guide that one of my friends that I met at Webflow conference showed me is Mast. Mast is a developer first, what do you call it, style guide, and it's actually made by Corey. It's great. It's a great style guide. I probably could have done more with it, but as I was going through the site, I kind of forgot that I had it, so I didn't get to incorporate it too much. I mainly use it for the headers to be consistent in my paragraphs, and then the colors, of course, and then the buttons. But the utility classes is something I definitely want to go into, but sorry, we're getting off topic. These static pages, the first problem I had, the static pages, when you go on a free plan, it's limited to 2 pages, so that can be kind of a pain, especially when you're trying to use a style guide, because then that eats one of your static pages even though it's a draft, so you're limited to just your home. And I originally had an About Me page designed in Figma, which is over here, so I wanted to incorporate that kind of thing. The second problem that I had was the CMS collection limitation when it comes to this, and like Webflow CMS is great, and like I understand why there's a limitation on it, but when it comes to getting unique layouts in a CMS collection, because it applies to every collection item within the collection list, it can be kind of hard to achieve these kinds of layouts, and for that it would need some let's see, a solution I found was adding an option field to the collection item, and then from there you're able to like conditionally set in custom code, like this one on the left should be longer than this one because it has a different option, and then bigger than this one because it has a different option, and so on. And I guess those are my only 2 problems that I ran into, but other than that, it was a really fun challenge to take on, and I really hope to do more. And thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and hopefully see you in the next project overview. Have a good one.